What is going on, everybody? Welcome to Off the Top Rope, Off the Mic Sports Network. Following up on the big news of Wednesday that WWE and ESPN Disney came to a streaming, or I guess you could say a deal where WWE premium live events starting in 2026 are going to be exclusive to ESPN and their new direct to consumer app that's going to be launched here later this month. So some people took what I said, maybe a little bit like I was posing merely the question, and I've talked to a lot of my friends who are fans, longtime fans of WWE, who are not happy with this decision. Um, and it leads me back to some of the stuff that I've been talking about with TKO. This even goes back to the whole Brock Lesnar thing of all these people who are just fake outrage artists who are, you know, going to be mad about this for about a couple hours. And then, hey, they're going to just, watch the next PLE or watch the next Raw or SmackDown. And, my whole conclusion to you guys is, hey, put your money where your mouth is. Stop watching the product. Because if you're mad about TKO, like I've always posed the question of, hey, TKO in terms of like, the modern, professional wrestling product has kind of like, hey, they've priced out some of the casual fans who want to go to see WrestleMania. It's not as affordable as it used to be. These premium pricing events and like all this other stuff. TKO is trying to make the almighty dollar. That being said, they don't necessarily, they're a successful company. Why do they need to do this? But, hey, a company is going to run themselves how they want to run themselves. That's just the way the world works. Like this is the way we are in the modern culture that we're in. Everybody's trying to make money. It's all about that dollar, all about the paper, all about making that bag, as people say. And while I'm a little bit miffed because of, the striking difference of where this company was 10 years ago, begging us to pay $9.99 for WWE Network. And then they went to Peacock. And now within 5 years of going to Peacock, they're now immediately going to ESPN and are, unless you're like and they're sort of banking on the thing that, hey, that if you're a WWE fan, you're a sports fan. And that's a fair assumption to make because, most people, and, they just acquired the NFL network and all the NFL's properties and the red zone and everything. So, they already have the NBA. I think there might be reworking their deal for Major League Baseball. Like, listen, we can shit on ESPN, we can shit on TKO. At the end of the day, if you're not happy with the decision to go with this, which, you're more inclined to feel the way that you want to do, are you going to stop watching the product is my question. Because until you stop watching the product, TKO is not going to change a goddamn thing that they are doing. They don't care about you. They don't. They care that you're going to keep paying and subscribing to these services, whether it be Netflix, whether it be, whether it be Peacock for now, whether it be, USA, or go to these other channels to watch their show or pay for their events. And until you stop doing that, they're not going to change their practices. They're making money. And any way that they can maximize profit, they're going to do that. And they are well within their right to do so. Okay. Whether you guys like it or not, they're going to continue to do that. And from that perspective, TKO is doing what they're trying to make this company more profitable. So that's the part of this that, hey, some people are going to be mad about it, but you don't have to like it. But like I said, if you're going to have a problem with this company and what they do, and you're a longtime WWE fan, you feel like you've been alienated, don't show up to the next show. Don't cancel your Netflix, cancel all these things. If you're outraged about Brock Lesnar coming back, do that. Stop watching. I've talked to multiple people, including my sister was a committed WWE fan for a while. She's not in it anymore. She's out. I respect people for doing that. I don't respect the people who are in the streaming business or whatever, or, are like, live streaming or doing their post shows or doing their reaction videos and then posting it and then saying, hey, fuck WWE for doing this. Yet you guys make money off of this too. That's the reality of this whole thing. That's how this thing works. Just because it became harder doesn't mean that TKO is going to stop doing shit, okay? They're running a business. And no matter if I like it or not, or matter if you like it or not, they don't care. They do not give a flying fuck. Nothing about this company has really changed, even with the ownership. This has always been about making money. At the end of the day, being in the wrestling business is about making money. It's about putting on entertaining television to put those butts in the seats. But once you get those butts in the seats, until they go away, they're not going to change everything. They think they're right. So listen, it is frustrating because, hey, all of a sudden in the span of 10 years, we've gone from $9.99 to going back to $29.99 for pay-per-views. But hey, if you actually look into this and you do more investigating into this, whole situation with TKO and WWE agreeing to something with ESPN, it's not as bad as it appears. It just becomes jarring because of what we've been doing for the last 10 years. If you're a big sports fan, you're probably going to get the direct-to-consumer thing. If you have a cable provider, if you have YouTube or whatever, by all indications, you're not going to have to pay any extra for the premium live events. And some of the biggest shows of the year are going to be on linear television. You know what that means? WrestleMania and the Royal Rumble are going to actually be on big ESPN or on some sort of affiliate. At least that's what's been verbalized and what's been put out there in the media. So in that perspective, that's pretty damn cool, if you ask me. So from the jarring perspective, and I think a lot of people have been, disillusioned because they like going to see these live shows, and now it's an arm and a leg. Like I said, I went to see WrestleMania 39. I'm glad that I did, and I couldn't go this year because it was way out of my price range. Full disclosure. I'm not going to tell you guys what I was trying to pay for it, but like a lot of people experienced the same type of issue that I did. And that, along with what we had been programmed to pay for premium live events being on a streaming service, be it Peacock, Netflix, or whatever, that's why a lot of people are not liking this decision today. So I needed to clarify that. Like I said, they got $1.6 billion out of this after getting the whole freaking massive deal that they got with Netflix. Speaking of which, if you're so disillusioned and you don't want to pay for, the new ESPN streaming service, or you don't want to shell out $30 a month, you're more within their right to do so. Go get a VPN. Go get a VPN. A bunch of people have VPNs and watch stuff on Netflix. Some people use that to watch, SmackDown on the international side of things. Some people use that to watch other events so they can avoid the commercials and whatnot, rather than watching it, locally here in the United States, which you could only really do for Raw, because that's how it's distributed in the United States via Netflix for Raw. Everything else, whether it be NXT, the premium live events currently because they're on Peacock, or, SmackDown, like, get a VPN. Find alternative solutions. There are other means to do this rather than just complaining about it. So I'm like I said, I'm just trying to give you guys options. And then the other piece of it is, like I said, if you think that WWE or anybody's just going to change the perspective because the internet's mad, put your money where your mouth is. Because if you don't, and you keep paying the almighty dollar to TKO, they're not going to do anything. They're not going to change shit for you. They don't care. They don't. They'll put on a better entertaining show than you had in the previous regime, because that was bad. That was bad content, and they were charging us for crap content. The reason why this stuff is sticking, even though this year creative has slipped significantly in my eyes, is, hey, if you don't like it, don't watch it. Because then TKO may be forced to change something about the way that they're running their operation. That's all that I'm saying to you guys. Think about it. Like I said, it's not that hard. It really isn't. And some people think that, like, I'm angling towards one side or the other. Listen, if I like something on AEW television, I'll tell you guys about it. If I don't like something on AEW television, which is more often than not, which makes you guys think that I hate AEW, I'm going to tell you about it. If I don't like something in WWE, I'm going to tell you about it. But I'm not going to fault somebody for running a business, okay? At the end of the day, this is about business. And they're doing what they think they should do, is what they think is right to maximize profit. They hinted at this. They were telling you guys this in plain English We knew that this was coming, especially with the way the prices of events have gone up. So if you're mad about this, don't watch. Stop watching. That's that. It's not that deep. It really is not that deep. So, like I said, it's going to be a controversial decision for some, but to me, if you're really a diehard fan of this product, you're still going to pay for it. Come on. And if you're one of these content creators who are just going to, have outrage and put your reactions on social media to get clicks to make money, if you don't like what's going on there, stop watching it. Again, not that hard. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thanks to everybody who subscribes here. I'll see you guys soon. Bye-bye.